I remember when I was preparing for my own first communion, how struck I was from the textbook that we used. There's one chapter on the call of Samuel and how he's in the temple, called by the Lord. Samuel, Samuel. He gets up and he goes to Eli, and for whatever reason, because the church is my only experience of a worship space, I just imagined that the Old Testament temple was built like the church, and the most important place would be the altar. And I imagined that Samuel was sleeping at the foot of the altar. I don't know why, but that was just in my mind. And that Eli was off in some other quarters, some other space. I'd even fully conceived of the idea of a rectory. I just knew Samuel was at the center and Eli was off someplace else. And I remember thinking how jealous I was of Samuel that he could sleep in the church or the temple, that he could be in the presence of the Lord in that way. And little did I know that so many years later, I would be standing at the foot of the altar offering the sacrifice, something that Eli and Samuel couldn't even imagine themselves. But there are some gaps between my first communion and priesthood. I'm not one of those young men, good as they may be, who always dreamed of being a priest and practiced saying mass, played mass at home. It's not something that I ever even thought of uh, as a possibility. At some point in high school, my faith started to drop off. And it may be that my mother had to work so often that while she wanted us to be sure that we went to mass, she wasn't there to make sure of it herself. So sometimes I get up late, wouldn't make one mass time or another. Living in Brooklyn, there are churches everywhere, but I just got out of the habit. When I went to university, to Hofstra, same thing. I was a commuter at first, and I'd come home late on Saturday and just feel too tired to go to mass. And in my unpracticed, poorly catechized mind, and my mother did a very good job, but still, some things took a long while to stick in my mind. I thought, if I watched a televangelist on television for an hour, I think that's kind of equal to going to mass. um, but sometimes in college, I would wake up so late on a Sunday that all of the televangelists are over. So I said, I'll kneel by the bedside for an hour, and that'll be sufficient. And about 7 minutes into prayer, I'd figure this is boring or tiring or whatever, and I think that's enough. It was a terrible prayer life, a terrible concept and understanding of who God is. I will say though that even in the years when my faith was waning, my faith in the one true church, I had a love of the scriptures and wanted to learn the scriptures more and more. And in my American mentality, I kind of thought, well, I can do this on my own. If I read this, I'll figure it out on my own, and it's nice to have the supplement of going to a church. So when I was in university, if anyone asked, I would say that I was raised a Catholic. I'm a Christian in the Catholic tradition. I already started learning these disgusting soft terms to try to wash myself of Catholicism. And I wasn't upset with being a Catholic. I would just recognize plainly that's a tradition I grew up in. And in this ecumenical age, I would think it's equal, just different to these other traditions. I don't know what they practice, but this is what I practice. I'm a Christian in the Catholic tradition. Um, which is a garbage phrase. It was really being ashamed. Uh,